there, viewers, and welcome back to the Self-Made Auto channel. So I got the Jeep ready for the alignment. Now I will have to admit I've gone ahead and replaced my tie rod ends and put my steering stabilizer on there. Just replaced the factory one with just an aftermarket one. To get that done, unfortunately I did have some company today at the shop, so I wasn't able to record that, but putting the tie rod ends, pretty simple process. Unhook one, screw a new one on. So I got that done. I must not have it even close because it was quite scary to drive down here. And yesterday I also had a bit of an epiphany or an aha moment. So our last video we did the U-joint upgrade on the front end, and I got all done with it and I take it for a drive and the thing is wild. It's just all over the road, real dirty. It's just terrible. Almost feels like if you've ever put a ball joint in where you've accidentally spread the axle and your ball joints are too tight and you get a lot of that memory steer and you just dart all over the road. I'm driving and I'm like, what the heck did I do? And it is because of the wheel bearing spacers. So you space the wheel bearings out, you bring them out, your tie rod stays stationary. So indeed it is pigeon-toed. So with that being said, if you're doing the U-joint upgrade in the front, changing axles, getting rid of the CV joints, putting in the Iron Rock off-road, U-joint conversion kit, axle conversion kit, whatever you want to call it, you have to readjust the toe when you're done. I didn't think of that when I did that video, but about 3 minutes down the road, it all came back to me. So that's that. It's on the rack, got the heads on it, have to do the run out, see where our alignment's at, see how square the vehicle is, fingers crossed. We may have to do some adjustments to the rear, to the front. We're going to check the caster, camber, toe in, everything, make sure that rear end's in there square, the thrust angle's good, and go for it. I'm happy to see that. Sorry about the lines going across the screen. At any rate, this is the rear end. And all we've done is set it up thus far with a tape measure, measuring our arms. This is the thrust angle in the rear end. If our axle was in, cattywampus, one wheel set ahead of the other, our toe would be off in the back and our thrust angle. So we obviously did a really good job with the tape measures because technically we do not have to touch the rear. Now at some point when I get the rear drive shaft, I know it's kind of dark under here, yeah, we're probably not going to be able to see, but you guys remember we got the two adjustable lower control arms and then the rear upper adjustable. So long as we're happy with our clearance for the wheel, so technically as the rear wheel travels up, it also goes towards the back. So this gap here will get further away. Now, as the wheel goes down, on the contrary, it goes forward. And when the vehicle's on the lift, we can, I've already checked this, you got about a fat finger's width, through here. So I think our axle front to back is good. Now with the sway bar in the rear, it doesn't allow for much flex in the back, if you will, not near as much as what we get in the front. So I've already drove it up a little bit on a rock pile, and we have tons of clearance in the back, lots of clearance in the front. But I guess what I was getting at is if and when we change our pinion angle, we just adjust the upper control arm, and it will not make any difference to this offset, in the rear, or to the thrust angle in the rear. So the rear is golden. I'm very happy with that. Now we'll look at the front. Yeah, I knew the toe was going to be off. So we are slightly towed in. Slightly, 1/4 inch total toe. Our camber is within specs in the front. So this is the vertical alignment of your wheel, your ball joints. So they're slightly tipped in, not quite 1 degree, about 0.7 degrees on each side. Now we're going to measure our caster angle, and this is going to be the vertical alignment of our ball joints. So how the ball joints sit parallel on top of each other. Positive casters, when the upper ball joint is behind the lower ball joint, allows the wheel to return to center, gives you a little tighter, heavier feel in the steering. So we're going to set that up and do that. Well, I'm glad to see that toe's off because this thing drives absolutely awful. So we're going to come up here, we're going to measure caster and steering angle inclination, get this set up, and I'll get that caster measurement, see where we're at. All right, so I did a caster sweep in it. You can see now technically these should be about the same. The axle is solid. So you can see they're really close, so it must be our axle tubes are close from the factory. On a stock Jeep, it's about 6 3/4 degree of caster. I think Iron Rock in the direction says that they, anywhere from 2 to 6. They prefer, the preferred is 4. So what we're going to do is we will loosen up. Of course, you can't see crap, it's so dark in here. We're going to loosen up the upper control arm, and we're going to shorten it up. And of course, that's going to change our pinion angle. But we're going to set it in the middle. We're going to set it about 4 degrees, hopefully, or pretty close. That'll give our steering wheel a good return to center. We can see we definitely are slightly pigeon-toed. We'll straighten up our toe. We'll take care of the caster angle first, make that adjustment. The camber is completely non-adjustable without, some special ball joint or something. So let's get busy. So what we're going to be doing, we're going to take this bolt out. Now, I have not yet gotten a new bushing for that. We do need to replace that bushing. It's just starting to kind of dry rot away. But this will get our alignment super close, and then we will disconnect or loosen up the pinch bolt there. We're going to leave this side, this bolt right in there. We'll leave that right in, and then we'll just pick the arm up, rotate that, probably spin it in, 6 or 7 turns, hook it back up, remeasure our caster, see where we're at. I'll show you guys my new tie rods. Like I say, there's, not that big a deal. I did all of them. One for the Pitman, the outer, the whole deal. And then the only other thing I did today, like I said, I had company, so it was, I didn't want to be rude and, making a video, but I put 5-inch extensions on my bump stops. Had the springs out of it at the shop, was lifting each wheel up as far as I could to see how much clearance I need. Now I did have to cut a little more off the bumper. You can see the fog lights are MIA now because I had to chop it off, and I've actually still got to cut more. I've got to trim probably another inch off from this because as that axle comes up, it comes way forward, and I can't move the axle back any further because when I'm at full flex, it just hits the fender here, and until I get a chance to actually cut the fenders and stuff this winter, I don't want to move the axle back any further than it already is. So you can kind of see what that looks like. So if it's in the way, just chop it off, baby. So I ended up moving that about 7 turns, re-swung the caster, and you can see we're now about 4 degrees. So we moved it about 2 degrees with 7, I think it's 6 or 7, probably 7. So I'm going to leave it there for right now because we're in the middle. We're at the 4 degrees. Depending on our drive shaft angle, we know if we extend it again another 7 turns, it's going to put us at 2 degrees, probably 6 or 7 turns more in. Will put us at 6 degrees, so we're kind of in the middle. We'll get the toe set up. It's about impossible to record here. There's nothing to set the camera on. I'll try to show you how we're going to do the toe. So with this style front end, you just have the one connecting tire that goes from knuckle to knuckle, and then you have, I guess a lot of people refer to it as a drag link, the tie rod that comes from the Pitman arm down to the right-hand steering knuckle. So on these, technically, you don't have to worry about your steering wheel being straight to adjust the toe. I'm going to take and loosen the one bolt on the steering stabilizer, loosen the 2 pinch bolts at the tie rods. I'm going to adjust it till our total toe is perfect, so our wheels are straight ahead. Then we adjust the drag link to set the steering wheel straightness. So actually, these cars here, you can have, the toe dead on, or your steering wheel completely cockeyed. Get noisy in here. Always go the wrong way. So we have our total toe, about 0.1 inch, about 1/10 of an inch towed in, just slightly towed in. Should drive better now, I'm hoping, fingers crossed. We're out, a good fair amount. Ended up turning the tie rod a couple, maybe a turn and a half from where it was, but it doesn't take a lot to make these things drive like garbage. So what you can do at this point is, it's kind of difficult on the alignment machine. You can keep it so it shows the wheels are straight ahead, and then, like I say, this bar is the one we're going to adjust our steering wheel straightness. Now, adjusting that does not affect the tire or the alignment whatsoever. The easiest way I found to do these is to just take your tools with you, take the vehicle for a ride. We know our toe's good. See where your steering wheel is at. You know, drive it a little bit. You know, backing in and out of the shop. See where it is. Get under there. Adjust the drag link. You know, drive it in and out, and just, you know, find that happy center. That's the easiest way. I've done them before on the alignment machine, trying to keep it straight. Then you go for a drive, and it's just that little bit off, and you end up crawling under there and adjusting it anyways. I'll probably rough it in, look at it, see where it is. You know, I mean, if it's, you know, half a turn off, I'll get it close before I even take it for a ride. But that's pretty much it. I'm super happy to see that we didn't really have to screw around much. The measurements that Iron Rock gave in their kit were spot on, or I have a super accurate tape measure, one or the other. So that's really good. So at this point, if we want to make any adjustments, you know, as long as we turn them even turns, you know, on our control arms for whatever reason, if we have to, we should know that our alignment's really, really close. Probably, if it's me and I have to do any fiddling with it, you know, drive shaft angle, stuff like that, I'll probably just bring it down, throw it in the alignment machine just to double check. But, you know, chances are we're going to go out and, you know, you start using this thing, stuff's going to get tweaked and twisted, and, you know, probably end up doing alignment, you know, once a year anyways. So now I'm just going to straighten up the clamps. Can't move them by hand. Grab them with pliers, straighten them up, tighten them down. And that's pretty well it. It's time for a ride. So driving down the road, it behaves much more nicely now. Has some horrendous front drive shaft vibration, especially under torque. I don't know if you can hear it, but it just rattles everything on the inside. So I had a little bit before, but obviously, you know, changing that caster angle made it substantially different, you know, a lot worse. So I'm probably gonna have to meet it in the middle here. Of course, we don't have the drive shaft we're gonna be running in it yet. So I guess we got a couple options. We can, you know, end up taking some caster back out of it, or we're likely gonna end up dropping the transfer case down a little bit. But it does drive quite nicely. Now it's still the brand new tires with that deep tread, they tend to get a little wishy-washy on the tires. You'll feel it, you go around a corner, it kind of feels like the back end's like a little squirrely is what it feels like. That's pretty characteristic of you know, big knobby tires when they're brand new. No death wobble, a little bit of bump steer. So these railroad tracks here are quite aggressive. So we'll hit these. But you know, just a little bit of feedback in the steering wheel, but absolutely no death wobble, which is great. So I think that's going to do it for now. Kind of burned up most of my morning chit-chatting while I was doing my tie rod end. So at least now we know we can drive it without, you know, scrubbing the tires off it. Get the rest of this thing finished up. All right, folks, we're gonna have to leave it at that. Back in my shop, it's pretty difficult to record in my brother's shop, so I apologize for kind of the short video. Plus, it's really, really dark in there, and I didn't bring any extra lights with me. Needless to say, it drives better. It drives nothing like it did with the CV shafts in it. So I really don't know what to think. Like I say, it's way better than it was when I, you know, initially put the U-joints in the front axle. I don't know if that's what's making it different, but it's entirely different. I've definitely got to figure it out. You know, why it's, you know, it's way better. It behaves pretty decently, but you get some uneven surfaces in the road. You know, going, you know, 55, and you're going from line to line. You're going from center line to center line, and it's you could easily oversteer and, you know, get in some big trouble. So it's a little bit of a handful to drive on road surface that's not, you know, perfectly flat. When I initially drove it, you know, I thought, it's definitely better to come through just Main Street here in Avoca, even at slow speeds, and you're just, you know, you're line to line. I know everything went well when we did the ball joints there in the last video. I've actually unhooked my tie rods since. You know, when I've had them unhooked, you know, the steer knuckles move nice and easy. There's no binding there. So I don't know. I hate to, you know, put CV shafts back in it just to see if that's it. but it may come down to that. It's a little bit obnoxious at this point. Definitely could not drive it on the highway, you know, at 65, 70, you know, no way. You just wouldn't have enough road. I'm going to experiment with a little bit, give it just a tiny bit more toe in just to see. You know, mess around with the caster a little bit just to see if I can find its happy spot. But right now I'm not 100% satisfied with the way it, you know, behaves on the street, which ultimately we're going to be using this off-road, but you got to be able to get where you're going safely, hopefully. We'll screw around a little bit with tire pressures and, you know, stuff like that and see what makes the difference. I hope I can figure it out, because if not, then it's virtually worthless to me, you know, to use and keep. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. I'm sure we'll be able to figure it out. At least I'm going to just try to stay optimistic anyways. In the meantime, go down, subscribe, ring the bell if you want to get notifications when we put these videos out. Check out the WJ playlist if you want to see the other stuff we've done to the Jeep. And find us around, Patreon, all that stuff. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.